Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 27 Deadline stream. And it's live. And if over the next hour or so you hear rather weird noises from a child, it's my son. Yes, I'm on babysitting duty. Hence, where's the blue wall, James? Curtains. Yes, there's curtains behind me. I've had to set up home in the living room and barricade the room while I look after my son and while I look after you lot. Right, let's get into it, guys. Team is on the screen. Confirmed. -4 for myself. Those two Watford clowns up front have gone. They're no doubt score now. Dennis and King are out. Armando Broja and Wout Weghorst is in. Weghorst is captain as well for myself. I line up this week. It's okay, little man. I line up this week with De Gea, Dallo, Cody, Cancelo, Jared Bowen, Rafinha, Jacob Ramsey, Leandro Trossard, 1.2 point. Who cares? Broja, Vice, Harry Kane, captain, Wout Weghorst. No cover on the bench, -4 taken. Below my team, you'll see my top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference for the game week. I believe if you've got Weghorst, do it, kids. And if you haven't, you've probably got Nick Pope. I believe, do it. Or if you're like me, and you might have been going into the week with none, I believe Harry Kane is the best of the rest. To the left of me, you'll see the countdown clock to the 6:30 p.m. UK time deadline, the schedule and my correct score predictions for all 9 games that are taking place this game week. I believe it's 9, with Burnley obviously in 2 of them. And below me you will see the benching dilemma screen. That will spin round with 5 pages worth of options. They run in order of preference from page 1 to page 5. Yep, you're going to get... Sorry guys, you're going to get loads of that. Loves a bit of gibberish, my boy. Where there's 2 players together, the player with the tick is the preference. Harry. And below me, right at the bottom on the grey ticker, you'll see the next 5 fixtures for all 20 Premier League clubs. Those marked in blue represent double game weeks. I'm not going to go through the benching dilemmas order because I reckon this week most of you probably don't have too many. But let's find out in the questions. TJ Powell is first. Says, evening, James. I actually have a dilemma this week. You mean don't tell people to just read the graphics and stuff? Do I go Trossard to Son and accept the Saka blank? Or go Saka to Son and Trossard to Saka next week? Saka to Son gives me 10 this week. The thing is, and here's what's really important. So I could have forced Sonny in myself. Let's say I'd just gone Dennis to Broja. I could have gone Trossard to Son. But, Harry, what I had to consider, it's going to be fun, honestly. Well, if you want like streams like free of baby noises, then there's other deadline streams knocking about. What I had to factor in, TJ, was if I went that route, it's going to completely block me off of Chelsea's game week 28 double, which is unannounced. And I will share my latest thoughts. And my latest thoughts are, if we don't get an announcement on Chelsea and Arsenal in the next 1 hour and 23 minutes, then I don't think it will happen. But my belief has been for well over a week now that Chelsea will play Norwich in game week 28. When will we find out about that? Well, if it's going to happen, it will be Thursday or Friday. Most likely Thursday. And if we don't find out by this time next week that Chelsea got a double, they ain't having one. But I need to leave that myself option for that, because I think as well, TJ, if that double happens, not only will I buy Rudiger, I think I'll captain Rudiger. So I don't want to leave myself without that option. The money's in the bank comfortably for me to go from Dallo to Rudiger. Potentially add a second Chelsea player as well. That's where I'm at. So, in answer to your question, it possibly depends a little bit on that. Because I'm guessing, TJ, probably like me, you're running through without these chips at this second in time. So, I'm going to say, don't get Sonny. I'm going to say, don't do anything. Oh, you haven't got Trossard. I wouldn't buy Trossard. Oh, you have got Trossard. Saka to Son and Trossard to Saka next week. I think I'd leave it, mate. You'll certainly want Saka next week. Sonny hasn't scored in an away game since game week 8. The opportunity looks good tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if he blanks as well. Savanch Singh says, hi James, Son and Adams or Kane and Elianusi? Elianusi's been really good the last few weeks. It's probably not a player that you want in your team beyond game week 28, but I don't mind it as short-term punt, a little bit of a differential. I'm going to say the Harry option at the moment. Daniel McAdams says King and Antonio for Broja and Weghorst for -4, or just one move and the other next week. Yeah, Antonio to Breuer next week, I think. King to Veghorst now, as long as that's obviously affordable to you. FPL Dougal, yo Jimbo, did you hear back from the bloke that accidentally transferred in Pepe? What result for him if he just let it play out? Oh my god. Maybe he'll be in the stream today. I have no idea. Yeah, someone was in the stream last week who accidentally bought Nicolas Pepe. Holostamos, he probably benched him. He probably left it and benched him. Holostamos says, hello James, hope you're having a good day. Let's hope free hit don't punish us this week. Well, I wish non-free hitters and free hitters the very best of luck this week. Dragon says, hey James, is Alanga, Amati, Shimikas sufficient bench on a free hit? You expect Amati start 0.0 in the bank. Well, Elanga will get some minutes, could start. I would think Amati probably does start, though the note of caution I would say on that is Burnley, Tuesday. I was doing my team news stream for the advanced earlier, and suddenly it dawned on me, I was like, Vestergaard will play, won't he? So then, does Amati play instead of Siyunchu? No guarantee. But then Amati could also play at right back, possibly, but I don't see why they'd leave Ricardo Pereira out now that he's back. So, not a guarantee. So it probably depends, Dragon. How many Man City players are you chancing it in there? I mean, the simple solution really there is drop Alanga down. I'm sure there's something cheaper that you can put there on the bench. Musa Sissoko, whatever. Put something cheaper there and then get Shimikas up to Ben Johnson, ideally, really, at 3.9. Alistair Coper says, hey, mate, would you go Livramento, Bednarek, Roberts and Pope? Or me, Tarkovsky and Forster. We've got 4 players there. So Livramento or Bednarek. I'll answer that. I'd go Bednarek. I do think Livramento will start, but actually I'd just go Bednarek if you're free hitting. If you're not free hitting, I wouldn't bother. Roberts and Pope's fine. Me, Tarkovsky. I'd go to Pope option, mate. FPL Dugo. Also, any preference between Stuart Armstrong and Elianusi? Preference would be to Stuart Armstrong, yeah. I saw someone posted the other day that he's got the best win percentage in the league this season or something when he plays. That's something mad. I know he's missed a lot of football, but Southampton's results are infinitely better when he plays. He's a player Suj and I spoke about a lot, not last summer, but the summer before. And he's had a lot of injuries since, but we like him. He's a good player. He's got a little bit, and please don't take this as a comparison, but some of you will have heard me say this before. There's something in him that reminds me of KDB. I don't know if it's just the running stride, the fact he wears number 17, but something in his technique reminds me of KDB. Now, listen, he's only half the player, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I like Stuart Armstrong. FPL Lighthouse says, hi, James. Thanks for all the great content, as always. How much do you think the free hit outscores non-free hit this week? Depends what the non-free hit team is, isn't it? As a general rule of thumb, I mean, it depends on the state. It's really difficult to say. I think if I had a free hit it would probably been worth, I think, maybe another 15-20 points for me. And I generally think maybe that's just it. I think the maximum damage to me is probably around about 25 points at a guess. I would guess that as an overall, the free hit will probably outscore non-free hit teams by 10 to 15 as an overview overall. You have to remember there's random shit out there. Like people have dead teams with like Ronaldo captain, he'll get hat-trick or something, level it out. Andrew Jarvis says, hello mate, hope all is well. Would you do KDB to Cornet? Oh, sorry, KDB and Cornet to Son. Harry, I'm trying to read. To Son and Rafinha. Otherwise, we'll just roll the transfer. Good luck for the game week. Cornet, you're going to frustrate the life out of you. Why do you want to move KDB? Harry, shh, please, little man, thank you. Why are you moving KDB now? It doesn't make sense, Andrew. Sorry, mate. Gaz88, will Sergio Reguilon start? I don't know. I don't pick the team. My guess would be yes. Sheila says, would you do... It's just a one-pointer, though, mate. Sheila says, what would you do? More pay to Adams or roll the free transfer? Already own Breuer. Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, look, slightly better fixture for Adams this week and then double next week. Yeah, I don't mind that. Hasselbank's win. Hi, James. What are your thoughts on Mourinho? Fucking hate him now and the job he done. Didn't he get this team to Burns to Europa League, top of the league in November in the final? Seems an underrated achievement to me. I don't give a fuck, mate. I hate him. Savanch Singh says, looking at a -8 of DC, he's doing amazing at Roma, isn't he? Amazing. Where's he going to be next? Where's he going to rock up next? Savanch Singh says, looking at a -8 of DCL, King and Fernandez, to Adams, Jimenez and Son captain. DCL King of Fernandes to Adams, Jimenez, Son captain. False. Again, Bruno Fernandes not one I'd want to move this week, mate. Seems like I'm in Jimenez at West Ham. Okay, it's forward thinking for next week. Not big on Raul Jimenez, by the way. I spoke about it a lot on the podcast earlier today. It's a no for me, Savanch. Nigel Sam says, good luck, James. Which one of KWP? That's like a packet of Chris, doesn't it? Carl Walker Peters, Cody or Saiz to run through till game week 30. Already have Kilman. To run you through, I don't mind Walker Peters as a shout, but obviously, look, it's 50-50 whether Southampton playing game week 30, isn't it? So the sensible advice I'm going to give you is a Wolves player. If the money doesn't matter, then buy Saiz. Rishi says, hi James, Bruno, Sterling and Roberts or KDB, Sancho and me. Also play Dalot or Bednarek. I'd play Dalot and take my chances, and I'd go with the first option, the Bruno route. Joe Burns says, planning on bringing in Son for Mane and Weghorst for King -4. Do you think it's worth a -8 to do Dennis to Breuer too? Well, yeah, it's just in isolation then. So Breuer in for Dennis is then a final -4. And that's the decision I've made. So the answer is yes. I'm going to say yes. I don't expect it to pay immediately this week, but I do over the next 3 weeks. Jose Vargas says, is it crazy to not go for Pope on free hit? De Gea and me is cheaper than Pope and Maguire, so I could strengthen my bench, or you could just not go Maguire. You could go Dalot and then strengthen your bench that way. I've seen a few free hit teams knocking about without Nick Pope, and I can't be pro. I think if you're on free hit, you have Pope and Weghorst. I can't see how you don't. And then it's just a case of which Burnley defender do you want to go with it. I think if you're on free hit, it seems quite straightforward to me. Take your pick. Roberts is cheaper. A little bit of risk of maybe not playing the Leicester game, but definitely stay in the team tomorrow. He was excellent Wednesday night. Me, Tarkowski, the only reason I don't play twice is if one of them gets injured or something. So take your pick. I think it's Pope, Weghorst, and then one of the others. Up to you. And there's not going to be a lot in it. Like, you know, in any single week, Tarkowski could outscore me or vice versa. There ain't going to be a science in it. Praise says, hello James, how are you? Just wanted to ask when you feel it's best to use your bench boost. Been thinking of 28. Is there a better game week for it? That I'm kind of setting up to go 36. I think a lot of people have wildcarded 26 to go 28, and that's absolutely perfectly fine. I think if I'd have been wildcarding 26, that's what I'd have been aiming for as well. Zaris says, do you think Reguilon, Trossard and King will play Stop the War and like James Page? Greetings from Chris, my friend. Yes, stop the war. Let's stop the war before we like my page, but yes, guys. Smash a like. Yeah, I can see it's nowhere near 100 likes. It should be. Hit the button. Hit the sub button. Look at me. Babysitting, working. Class, eh? Maybe not. Debatable. Yes, I think Reguilon starts. Yes, I think Trossard starts. King, I'm actually not too sure about Josh King, actually. But he has trained since coming off early on Wednesday. So they probably all start. But it wouldn't surprise me if none of them did. Sorry, mate. Prey says, do you think it's time to move off Bowen to facilitate acquisition of double game week players? Also, is Weghorst an essential for this game week? Good luck. Listen, we're in the terms now saying a Burnley player is essential. Of course he's not. If you think Burnley are going to do nothing this week, then go without them. I agree that I think if I was on free hit, it would definitely be Pope and Weghorst. Definitely. In terms of Bowen, depends where you're going and when, right? So for me, on my strategy at the moment, running through, and this is going to vary person to person. At the moment, my intention is to bench him next week at Liverpool, have him in 29 at home to Villa. If they blank 30, I'm probably free hitting 30. Then 31 to 33, he's got Everton, Brentford and Burnley. Nice fixtures. So at the moment, he just offers super value. So for me on my strategy, I have no problem. I'll keep him. But I think next week, a lot of people are going to look at it and go, shit, man, I can move him to, Ward-Prowse, Coutinho, so many other options, maybe even Neto's back, so many options with good doubles and stuff that a lot of people will end up selling. So, yeah, it depends on your circumstance. For me, at the moment, he's going to hang around. I mean, let's be realistic about it. Double or no double, who am I getting rid of first, Bowen or Trossard? Having bought Bowen at dirt cheap, there's not a lot in it value-wise between selling the two. So, I mean, it's Trossard that would go first, I think. Unless I walk into injury issues, then he could go for me next week. But at the moment, he's going to stay. Andrew Jarvis is like and share, folks. Thanks, Andrew. That's better on the lights, kids. Cheers. Thanks very much. Sergio says, hello, James. Do you think it's worth taking a minus 48 point hit to get a good team out for game week 27? Cheers, mate. Yeah, Sergio, read the bio, mate. Andy Max says, hi, James. Would you take a minus 4 for a Burnley defender to field 11? And if so, which one? Cheers, mate. For a Burnley defender, I mean, I'm going to stick with my mate Tarkovsky, although smaller head Ben Mee, who I can tell you from up close on Wednesday night, has a bigger head than I. God, this is coming across wrong. The shape of his thing on his neck is bigger than I thought it was. There's not a lot in it, but there's not a lot in the head size between me and Tarkovsky. God, James, get yourself a fucking room, honestly. I would still favour Tarkovsky just. Personal preference. Plus, me going to score again. It's Tarkovsky's turn, isn't it? I know that's gambler's fallacy, but I think it would be Tarkovsky. To answer, is it worth it? Well, it depends what you're selling, doesn't it, Andy? What you're selling. If it's a minus 4 to play over someone who's not playing, then great, do it. But I wouldn't say take the minus 4 to get Trent, to sell Trent for him, for example. So, look, I've left Trent and Tierney this week, and I've not got a Burnley defender. So, on that basis, it's probably a no. But then I want Cody and Cancelo in future weeks. I don't think he's worth the minus 4 over Dalot if Dalot plays, knowing that I would be selling him again immediately, probably for a Chelsea player in game week 28. So again, circumstantial, mate. Sorry, I know it's a shit answer. Dylan Ferner Rose says, would you consider Conte's position at Spurs untenable after his recent comments? Cheers for the Zidders per great start to the weekend. Nah, of course it's not untenable. He's just, and that's this on our Patreon, on the quiz we did yesterday when we got back from up north. I said to Suj on that pod, I was like, God knows what his wife must think of him. Jesus, emotional wreck. Just calm down a little bit. To be fair, he explained himself today. His comments are not on. Like, it's shit. It's terrible. If Mourinho said that, I'd be slating him. So I'll slate Conte now. He's out of order. It's not fair on the players for him to go and talk like that. And I think someone needs to have a quiet word with him and say, look, if you're going to be that emotional after a defeat, mate, then send your fucking assistant in front of the cameras and tell him you've locked the players in the dressing room. Just don't do that, right? It was weird. It was particularly weird because he came out on Tuesday and he gave them all such praise after the Brazilian, I guess it was, the brilliant result at Manchester City on Saturday. So, no, it's not on. In terms of position untenable, Jesus Christ, without him we'd be about 11th or 12th in the league at the moment. Luke Hopkinson says, hi James, on 3 hits, so not many questions, just a couple. Liver or Bednarek to start and who to pick from United defence, all the best, great content. Look, I got no more idea than you in terms of whether Livramento will start or not, and I doubt we're going to get any team news prior to the deadline, which is around about 37 minutes away. I'd go Bednarek because I'd bottle it, truthfully. Andrew Grondin says, James, I'm doing the premium hokey cokey with Salah to Sonny this week. Also have KDB, plan to move KDB back to Mo, just not sure if 28 or 29 is better. Thoughts? You might be better off waiting the extra week. I mean, you're going to probably want Salah more on your team next week, but you may have other things get in the way. So there's no stress, Andrew. Just see how you feel in 7 days, right? What I'd say is, and this goes for everybody, genuinely, especially if we don't get a Chelsea-Arsenal announcement in the next hour and a half, please, I beg you this week, don't make early transfers. Because if you're going, oh my God, Jimenez's price is going up, yeah, you're all going to get a shock if suddenly Chelsea-Norwich drops in, honestly. So please wait. Norwich-Chelsea, if it happens, is extremely unlikely to get announced before Thursday. Just wait this week, honestly. Because you might suddenly find yourself wanting to fly into Chelsea players with a double game week potentially of Burnley away, Norwich away. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying this week, chill, put your feet up. Philip Sukta says, hi James, thanks for the great content. Would you risk Livra, Roberts, Raz and Mahrez with only Johnson and Gilmore on the bench? Well, Johnson, I think, gives you great cover. He's arguably a good starter for a lot of people this week, actually. Roberts is fine. You've got no problem there in terms of will he play in the game week. Yeah, you're fine. Livramento, I think he'll start. I said probably 65% Livramento starts. Sterling and Mahrez, both in Luke, FF Scout. Luke disables predicted Manchester City team. And he's a bit of an expert when it comes to predicting them. Go and have a look at his thread that he's posted today. He had a brilliant appearance on the FPL Wire podcast on their Extra Time show earlier in the week. And I don't think Luke's changed his team from his thinking on Monday, actually. So I know he's got Morris and Sterling both predicted in. If they both missed out and didn't get off the bench, it's unlikely, innit? And you should be okay, mate. Steve Greenwell says, can't help but feel that we are jumping off a Dennis-sized double game cliff by clinging to Weghorst, as the community seems to be doing. How is this better than Cancelo or Bruno or otherwise? Talk sense. I'm not saying it is, mate. But to be honest, if I was free hitting, I would have all three of those players in my team. Like, definitely. I've got Cancelo. I haven't had Bruno Fernandes. I definitely would not want to sell him this week. Harry! Shh. Shut up. Harry! What's this? What's this? You want this? What's this? Come here. Come here. What's this? Come here. Come and say hello. Alright, don't come and say hello. Harry. Come here. Come and say hello. They keep having to listen to you. So what, at least like acknowledge them and say hello to the people. Say hi. No, Daddy, I just want this little thing that you give me. I want to eat that. Do you want Daddy to break it for you? Oh, well done. You've done it. Go on, take it with you. Yeah, I mean, I'd want them players anyway. For me, with Weghorst, the plan is, at the moment, I'm benching him next week, along with Jared Bowen. And then probably to sell in 29. But I may move him out for like Che Adams or something next week. I haven't quite decided as yet. Yes, of course there's a risk. We went through this with Dennis, King and other players before. So I think if you're buying the free hit, you go free Burnley. If you're buying as new, like I have, you know it's a short-term move, really. But even on our Patreon pod today, I looked at it with Suj and said, look, let's say Southampton lose in a week and they play in game week 30. I could bench Weghorst against Chelsea. Then I've got him against Brentford and Southampton. I might not even free hit then in game week 30. Now I'm sitting there with Weghorst and Breuer. I mean, that's a real possibility that I've considered as part of my moves. And I know you'll be saying, James, are you ever going to free hit? No, maybe not. Maybe I'll be doing it in game week 36 and game week 38 or something. I mean, 33, 37 would become the most likely for me if I didn't free hit in 30. But yeah, suddenly I'd have to look at that if Southampton lose in midweek, possibly. Anyway, yes, there's the possibility. Don't move out Burnley player. Don't get Tarkowski for Cancelo, for example. He's perfect point in case. Yeah, but it depends what you're buying for. Steve Greenwell, that's what we've done. Thanks for the question. Monkey Pills says, hi James, -4 for a Burnley defender to play instead of Dean, worth it. Bearing in mind if Livramento doesn't play, I'll only have 2 defenders. No, it's not. So that's a good example where you want Luca Dean next week, don't you? Alright, so don't just look at the immediate, look beyond. Okay, yeah, possibly they score more, but then do you want to have another -4 to get Dean back next week? Nah, mate. Leave it be. Austin Laley, hi James, should I start Breuer or Elanga this week on free hit? I don't think I need to answer that, do I, Austin? You'll bench Breuer at home to Norwich, even if that's the case, what you even got him for. Garlic25 says, what are your thoughts on Salah to Son for an extra -4? I'm thinking of wildcard next week. Excuse me, I'll just do Fernandes to Salah next week. Glad to be in the stream again as I work Saturdays now. Hope you are well. Nice to see you, Jack. Hope it was well, mate. No. No, I think it's probably not. Again, you might find yourself getting caught out where you want to dive into Chelsea next week and then you're not going back, or you're forcing that wild card on yourself. So, if in doubt, often the best thing to do is nothing. David Dobson says, hi James, would you take a -4 to move Salah to Son? We'll be bringing in Salah back next week for Fernandes. I don't mind that so much. When you know that that's your hokey cokey. But again, David, just realise what I'm saying, that you may suddenly think, shit, I want Chelsea players next week. And then you might be blocking yourself out of going back, and suddenly you're sitting there with Bruno Fernandes away to Man City, really not wanting to look at it. But if you're planning that as a plan, yeah, fine. Salah to Son now, then Fernandes to Salah, and then you sit there with Son and Salah. Yeah, longer term. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Pushkar says, what would be your 2 Man City midfielder for those on a free hit? Don't have the strength to withstand the pep roulette. Well, I'd go double defensive. I'd go Cancelo, Laporte. And then I think because of price, I'd want to force in Bruno. I'd want Kane and I'd want Son. Because of price, it's then Foden or Morris. That's where I'd be at. Ayub says, is wildcarding now a good option? Set me for blank game with 27 and 30 with decent amount of doublers in 28, 29. Depends on your team, mate. I'm not even looking at it, am I? James, is now a good time to wildcard? What's your team look like, mate? I mean, I'm sure there's people watching now going, James, you should wildcard that. But there's plenty who think I'm probably, consider I'm not using a free hit, probably think I'm set okay. So, opinion again, mate. I can't answer that. Yeah, wildcard. I don't know what your team looks like, mate. Zaris says, do you think Foster to Pope is a bad move? I would also have Ramsdale, but I want Foster for the upcoming double game week. Stop the war and subscribe to James Page. If you want to keep Foster, which is understandable, even more so, say, if you don't have the wild card left, then don't do it. Just suffer this week, mate. Just suffer it. Then again, the flip is next week. Okay, you got Foster double. You've got Ramsdale away to Watford. That's okay. If you're happy to have over 10 million in your budget for 2 goalkeepers, cool. Particularly if you have the wild card left. But I think if you can consider it. If I didn't have the wild card left, I don't think I'd bother. I'm going to start mucking about with hits for goalkeepers and stuff, do you really? Cog says, hi James, not free hit this week. I'm set on King to Veghorst for 10 playing. Is it worth taking -4 for Sufel out and who of me or Tarkovsky? Thanks for the great content as usual. Yeah, I think that's one where it's got to be worth it, mate. So that tiny 51% over 49% preference for Tarkovsky. But quite frankly, mate, I'd go to your shelf wherever you keep your spare change and flip a coin, mate. Gavin Welsh says, always late, James. Yeah, I like to keep you waiting, mate. The only thing, you know what I am? I'm normally on time. The deadline stream, I like to build the suspense. And if Tottenham are playing, I'm early. Except I wasn't quite early enough on Wednesday. Because if I'd have been 2 minutes early, I wouldn't have got fucking drenched so badly. Paul Willis says, hi James. Do you think Kulusevski plays against Leeds or does Lucas Moura give a more attacking option? I don't think it's a case of more attacking option. I think it's a case of different attacking option. So I covered this on the podcast this morning. My instinct is that Lucas will start. So I would not consider Kulusevski for a free hit. I wouldn't consider Lucas either because I could definitely have that wrong. But I think he'll want Lucas's direct running against Leeds. That's my thought process on it. So I think Kulusevski might not start tomorrow. Pushkar says, I heard you speak about Roberts being an attacking fullback. What do you think about him as a pick over the 2 centre-backs? I think probably not worth it. Is my honest answer. I think because of the threat that they are at set pieces, etc., the centre-backs at Burnley almost have as much goal threat as the full-backs. I mean, look at Lowton and Taylor's record over the last few years. How many goals they got between them? 4 or 5 goals in, 4 or 5 years? So, I mean, I really like him. I owned him in Gaffer last year. Anyone who played Gaffer probably had him while he was at Swansea. He's a much more offensive fullback than what they're used to having. They're trying to evolve. Fair games for them, Burnley. I'd just be a little bit conscious that he was out for a long time and Leicester will be his 3rd game in 6 days. And I'd be a bit concerned about it. So I don't think it's worth downgrading. That's all. Dylan Farrell says, on wildcard... Hang on. Have you eaten it already? He has as well. Do you want another one? Dylan Farrell says, on wildcard, bench boost 28. What's better from James Ward-Prowse now and Alan St. Maximin 28? Or Fraser Willett now and Rao in 28? Forward will replace Veghorst. Already have Livra, Breuer, Dubravka and 8 Norwich. Jesus, Dylan, what are you doing to me here? 2 from each or 3 Southampton, 1 Wolves, 2 Newcastle. Bloody hell, mate. Do you really want 3 Southampton? Reality. Again, that might depend on... Harry, chill a little bit. It probably depends a little bit on your game week 30 situation a little bit. I'm not big on Jimenez. I think that's going to influence the decision. I said this on the pod earlier. I'll say it again now. I think over the next 7 days, Raul Jimenez is going to be a massive bandwagon. I think so many people over the next week are going to be finding money to move Veghorst to Raul Jimenez. It's not my intention to do so. I don't think he's in form. I never expect him to score. Harry, shh, please, little man. I don't expect him to return more than once in any game. So, 2 games, 2 great fixtures. Of course he could. I just don't really want him in my FPL team. I can't fit him many worse. And they're terrible. All the forwards are terrible. I can't fit him many worse to have value-wise than Jimenez at the moment. Harry. Shh, please, mate. Thank you. Andrew Grondin says, James, not sure how much Arsenal you watch. Has Arteta giving Cedric and Xhaka Free reign in attack and fielding Tierney as almost a third centre-back been long-standing. Was that tactical to cover Podence? Cedric is a more offensive fullback than Tomiyasu. So that might just be why it was. In terms of Xhaka, Adam Pritchard said this on COTC last week about actually there's a bit of a misconception at the moment. Actually, Xhaka is playing further forward than Thomas Partey. In terms of Cedric, it's a little bit, he's different to Tomiyasu. Tierney, we know obviously from Scotland that his appearances for Scotland can play as a wide centre-back. And in fact, he's played the position a fair bit for Arsenal as well, not this season, but in previous seasons. So it shouldn't come completely unexpected, but yes, it probably was something more tactical the other night. FPL Jabs is planning João Pedro Antonio out for Broya Vegos -4. Sounds fine. Playing Lowton Cornet with King on bench. Cornet, no idea if he's back tomorrow. He's a pain in the arse. I love him as a player, I really do. But he's going to be a pain in the arse. It looks like someone who's constantly going to have injuries. Lowton, I've just kind of discussed it because of Connor Roberts. I don't know what you're hoping for there, mate. Then sell Salah for Son for another -4 and then hit next week to bring him back. If that's what you want to do, Jabs. Lewis Bowman says Son and Jimenez versus Son and Adams versus Kane and JWP for 27 to 30. Assuming Saints playing 30. Definitely don't assume, mate. The Kane option. FTLOL podcast. Hi James, no questions today. Just popping in and say good luck this game week. And big thanks to you for the Ronaldo to Mane for a -8 advice. You're welcome, mate, but I didn't make the transfer. You did. Dan L says, hi James, already made my moves, which you already know. Have a great weekend. Oh, and sign up to the Patreon, guys. It's amazing value. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. But in all seriousness, guys, you may as well probably wait till Tuesday now. We'll talk about that a little bit in 25 minutes or so. Havis says, hello, James. Is Saka going to be template for the rest of the season? Price of 6.5 seems cheap, and Arsenal fixtures are awesome until game week 38, plus 3 games in hand as well. Also, Lacazette or Martinelli for the long term. Lacazette, no. Martinelli, yep, great, fine, good as. I'm not sure if Saka will become template, but I mean, his ownership was certainly very strong. I think he's ended up landing in the majority of wildcard teams. So I certainly think he's approaching that way with Saka. I want to say his return was the points that hurt me the most, actually, last week, I think. So he's a player I've got my eye on. I wouldn't rule out buying him for, say, Trossard in 28. It's possible. Ali Bismo says, hi James, is Salah to Son flip-flop worth it? Again, depends on the rest of your team, mate. How well you set up with these double game weeks to come. If you set up amazing, then yeah, crack on. Oscar says, KWP or Livramento or both and bench one. Oh, God. Ramsey or Elanga on free hit. Preference would still be Ramsey. I'm not convinced Elanga starts. FPL Finding Glory. Evening, James and Harry. Would you do Gray? Someone said hello to you. You're going to say hello back? Would you do Gray to Coutinho or to James Ward-Prowse or Mahrez? Would you do Gray to Coutinho? Gray's back now. Yeah, we've held on for a while, haven't we? I mean, to be honest, I'd do an Everton player to almost anyone. Any Everton asset that I owned that wasn't called Anthony Gordon, I would just move to anybody. Preference for me right now would be Ward-Prowse over Coutinho. But again, for the 100th time, it's going to depend a little bit on your strategy. Coutinho gives you more assured cover in game week 30, but a more difficult fixture. Mahrez, no interest. I think, just avoid Man City attackers now, unless I'm wildcarding, I think. Matthew Hall says, already on a -4, would you do Dennis to Veghorst and another -4? Free hit 28 and 30. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, you look at the 29 fixtures then. Dennis is away to Southampton. Veghorst away to Brentford. It's okay. Simon Coulson says, good evening, James. As someone who's not using any chips to come in game weeks, would you prefer Cornet to Rafinha or Ramsey? I really like Rafinha as an option for upcoming game weeks. I think it's been completely overlooked. Tottenham at home, then double, then Norwich at home, then Wolves away in game week 30 or you're free hitting, then Southampton at home, then Watford away. Great run. He's the only Leeds player you'd be remotely interested in other than maybe Gelhardt to sit on the bench. Pushkar says, did you listen what Conte had to say today in press? He sounded apologetic about his comments. You think he isn't getting slated enough because he's Conte and not Jose? Well, I think what it is people can tell how much he cares. That's the difference. Mourinho, it's all about me. Conte genuinely was gutted the other night. I think that's what comes through in the difference. He was wrong. He was bang out of order. But I think, yeah, he's apologetic because he said today, look, I'm emotional. I've overreacted. Harry. Shh, please, mate. I'm going to make you sit up here with me. Joe Finney Badder says, hi, James. How's son? And I don't mean human son. He's good. He still babbles a lot when he's watching YouTube. He's not watching me, by the way. Dylan Farrell says, he's YouTube Kids. Don't worry. Dylan Farrell says, like the stream people, also can't recommend the Patreon enough. It's great content we are providing on a daily basis. New month coming up too. Yes, Dylan, you the man. Alex Austin says, hey James, I'm not playing free hit this week and struggling to get 11. Which -4? Dennis Semedo to Broya Sayis or Watkins Semedo, Veghorst Sayis? Well, the immediate, it's Veghorst, isn't it? But then what does it do to you for next week? And are you captaining Veghorst? Or who you captain next week? So I'm going to have to say Veghorst, aren't I? Alex Allegretto says, good luck, James. Thanks, mate. You too. Florentine P. Hello, mate. Says, hi, James. Perlos Pen. Evening, James. Any reason for me over Tarko in the captaincy? Yeah, to stop people mentioning it. The general honest reason for that is there's a little bit more ownership on me. But I do think you could... I think you toss a coin between them. To be honest, I still have slight preference for Tarkovsky. But I think realistically, I don't believe anyone's not got Veghorst or Pope or one of those other kind of premium assets. I would captain Kane, Fernandes, De Bruyne and Cancelo all over those Burnley centre-backs. I don't think it particularly matters. Richard Benson's, hello Ben, I hope you're well, mate. Says, hi James, free hitting in 29. Would you go Salah to Son or a City mid for the next two? That's a really interesting one if you're free hitting 29, because then there's a strong case to say you can go without Mo till 31. In which case I'm going to say, yeah, you crack on, mate. And with that in mind, and what Tottenham have got, Everton then double, I'm going to say go Sonny, mate. FPL Najib says, hi James, which option do you think is better? One, me, Tarkovsky, Pope and Southampton defender, or me, Tarkovsky and Southampton goalkeeper? Me, Tarkovsky and Southampton, the Pope option. I'm always going to say that. It's about 18 minutes to deadline, guys. I'm struggling to answer questions because I'll get a headache. But if you haven't submitted a question yet, I probably wouldn't bother. I'm not going to get to you, but I'll do my best to get through these. Timon says, too risky to go with Amati and Allen as my bench options on my free hit. Got Shimikas as well for budget reasons. Team said, too risky to go with Amati and Allen as my bench options on my free hit. Got Shimikas as well. Well, Allen will almost definitely play. It's just probably a 2-pointer. Amati I spoke about a bit earlier in terms of possible concern with Vestergaard. I think Amati maybe still plays. Because I think he might just look at Siunchu versus Burnley and go, nah. Siunchu get bullied to fuck. If for us captain Veghorst, you want Siunchu to play on Tuesday, I would say. I think you'll be okay. Pushkar says, oh no, James, why is Son so low on the captaincy chart? Seen a lot of managers with the band on him. He hasn't scored away from home since Gameweek 8, mate. And it'll be an intense game. And I've spoken about this before with Heung-min Son. Invariably, the more intense the game, the less favourable it is to him. So, look, Heung-min Son could go off massive. Heung-min Son could score a hat-trick tomorrow. Definitely. If he is allowed to move off the left flank. If he's not allowed to move off the left flank like he wasn't when we played Leeds at home, then I don't think he returns tomorrow. But I'm hoping that he will be allowed to. And then obviously if him and Lucas, if it's Lucas, run in off of Kane when the ball goes into his feet, of course he could have a field day. But I'm not convinced. Kane is definitely a better option than Son right now. Dion Chung says, evening James, who are the best picks from Newcastle ahead of their back-to-back double game weeks? St. Maximin if he's fit, Dubravka. You can make a case for a lot of them. I think Fraser Willock are okay. I think Chris Wood at the moment is avoidable. Byrne is okay. Even Fabian Shaw, FPL Fitwiller was talking up on Clash of the Correspondents yesterday. So I'd recommend listening to that if it's that important to you. But I wouldn't force the move now. Because St. Maximin is the priority, right? And we don't know his fitness. So I'd hold fire if you can. Meninda says, what do you think of me, Tarkovsky, double over Pope with Forster instead on free hit? Prefer Pope. Honestly prefer Pope and by a distance. FPL Nasri says, hi James, would you take a -4 for Region to me? I have Foden and Dalot benching risks as well. That's a good question. I think Reggie plays tomorrow, but I don't think you're getting anything from it. And he's going to end up staying for you. Good fixture next week against Everton, 28. Then he's going to give you a headache again in 29. Likely to blank 30. Yeah, I'd do it. I'd do it. I would just advise Tottenham defensively. No, as I've been maintaining for a while. Sayuj says, thanks for the content, James. Free hit this week. Just a question. Dalot, Livramento, Shaw for the defensive pick. I mean, if money's no object, it's probably Shaw, right? Ash says, Shaw or Livramento for game week 27 and game week 29 onwards. So you're free hitting 28. I'm going to say Fabian Shaw then, mate. FPL telling Josh, hey, James, have a great evening with Harry, mate. Will he be cheering on that Breuer hat-trick with you? I won't be cheering it on. I don't care enough, mate. Razik says, do you think going Sancho over Fernandes is a fair sacrifice to afford KDB over the City mids? Good question. I mean, ideally, the top picks are those, in my opinion, as you can probably tell from the captaincy table. I think you're free hitting. Yeah, it's okay to go Sancho and no Fernandes. You're certainly not sacrificing Fernandes from your team, I don't think. If you're free hitting, yeah, it's okay to go different. But if I was free hitting, I'd have gone Fernandes and Sancho and wouldn't have had De Bruyne. So, but I think in your case, it's probably a better... No. Actually, no. I would go Fernandes and I would go Foden Mahrez, if that's what your call is. Jay Barker said, what is the TV show of choice for young Harry for the next 45 minutes or so? Whatever he's watching on YouTube Kids, which is normally cars racing or something like that. Jay Barker says, he's got this other one on a tablet he really likes at the moment. The Cookie Monster. Look at him, he looks at me straight away, right? And he honestly, you see how when he's laughing hysterically, he would have been like that for the whole hour. Ragav says, but you can have that afterwards. I'm going to get him some food. Ragav says, do you think Sanchez starts for Spurs? No. Miena says, hey, James, would you swap Pogba for 8.4 million midfielder and who or Dalot for me or Roll for game week 28? Fucking hell. Would you swap Pogba for... No, well, you got him, it's fine. And who? I'd probably just stick with Pogba for this week and think about it next week. Dalot for me or Roll? I presume you mean me for Dalot. Rolling's good. Rolling's powerful, mate. FPL Finding Glory, nice. Say as if I had anything to do with the choice, mate. Colin Burglar says, hi James, with so-called illness in the Brighton squad, is Coutinho a good differential pick for a free hit team this week? They've got a bit of illness knocking about. It could be anyone, right? It could be the under 18s. It might be nothing. I mean, I don't mind Coutinho as a pick, but I want to say that he's not done it in a away game yet. Zaris says, who will play, Telles or Dalot? What the percentage? Dalot, 60%, Telles, 40%. They could both play. They could neither play. Richard Benson says, much respect for getting this stream in. James, you're very welcome, mate. Chris Pointer says, his son on corners for Spurs? Yes. Sumajit, sorry if I mispronounced that, which sounds better, me, Tarkovsky and Forster or Bednarek? It's going to be Pope, mate. James, bang, do you? Hi James, who is less of a rotation risk, Livramento or Dalot? Need to pick one on a free hit, many thanks. I'd go Dalot. Berticus says, sign Bowen, JWP or Rafinha on free hit, James. I don't think you're signing Bowen at this stage, are you? Oh, for free hit, sorry. Bowen. Yeah, why not? Why not? If West Ham do well, he'll probably do well. Claire says, I tuned in especially to see how this went. Horde of Fate, I can confirm that James Kidd is saying Captain Val Veghorst. Steve McInnes, you rot, James, on dad duty here too while working and catching your stream. Razik says, have your kid grasped the concept of you talking to hundreds of strangers without ever getting a verbal response? I don't know, mate. Mod Explorer wants to bomb out Dalot for a hit. Any recommendations other than Wolves? Don't bomb him out, just do what I'm doing, just leave him there this week. Benji Coe says, hi mate, on a free hit, what combo better, Sancho and Laporte or Sterling and Livramento? Sancho and Laporte, mate. Dion Chung says, why no Burnley defence, James? Because I didn't think it was worth the hit for any of my players. Honestly, right, I want Tierney for the coming weeks, especially on the possibility that Arsenal could double in game week 28, right? I've just had a potential inside message, possibly, on Brighton. And I'm going to check the validity of it, see if it's worth sharing for you. It's thought the main illness problem in the Brighton squad is with staff. That's what I've been told. Doesn't mean it's true. What was the question? Why no Burnley defence? Right, so I want Cody next week. I don't really want to get rid of Cancelo at this stage. I need to hold Dalot there for Rudiger. So it was a choice of, do I think it's worth a -4 now and another -4 to get them back out? So I would need the Burnley defender to outscore Dalot by 9 or more. And if United keep a clean sheet tomorrow and he starts, I don't think that happens. So that's why. Matthew Liffick says, why does young Harry have the armband on? Or why doesn't he? He's vice. You made me want to double check my team now. To check that the captaincy's on red course. Why have you just made me shit myself? I can't see that screen. It's on Veghorst. It's definitely. I've just double looked at my team. Yeah, and it's on Veghorst on the screen. Why are you mugging me off? Sunshine says KDB or Bruno. Free hit, Bruno. Static says, hi James, Harry's great. Who would you pick out of the Southampton fullbacks on free hit? If Cole Walker Peters is affordable, that's the way I'd go. Corachology, which teams have most chance for double in game week 33? Arsenal, Everton, Leicester, main ones. It's very dependent on cup results, but it's highly likely that Arsenal, Everton, Leicester will have a double game in game week 33 as a minimum. Josh says, hi James, Foden and a stronger squad or Sterling and a super thin squad? Stronger squad, mate. Coolio 2foots quite enjoy Harry in the background. Martin says, last time Saints played Norwich, Redmond came in out of nowhere. I hope this doesn't rotate Adams and I'm captain KDB. Patrick Lawson says, excuse me, saving free hit and Harry, saving free hit and wildcard in next week. Already bought Sonny and Weggy. That's terrible, mate. Weggy, go on Weggy. For a hit, would you do Salah to Sterling, Mahrez, or White to a lower than me price Burnley defender? No, just enough, man, enough. Mankind says, hi James, I'm wildcard in this game. We love the clash of correspondence this week. Which combination do you like more? Thank you to Tom and Sire, very much appreciate it. It was a really good pod, actually. I think. Mainly because of them, not because of me. Which combination do you like more? Cancelo, Cody and Fraser. Rudiger, Aitnori, Willock. Rudiger, Aitnori, Willock. And keep your fingers crossed for that double game week. Static said, would you go Southampton or United defender? If I was free hitting, United defender. Slight preference. Duncan Young says, gone Rodriguez over Veghorst on free hit. Veghorst, like Antonio, holds the ball out wide and plays in darting midfielders. Rod has better non-penalty expected goal involvement and leaves Veg 4 for 1 in big chances over the last 4. Oh, great, Duncan. You should start a live stream, mate. Liam H says, hey, James, would you play Williams or Lowton? Fucking hell. Play Lowton and keep your fingers crossed. Oh, but, I mean, that's a brilliant question. Brilliant question. No, I'll play Williams. I'd play Brandon Williams. Sod it. I'd play Brandon Williams. But I also think, Liam, that's one where you hit Matt Lowton out. Hit him out, mate. I think, for an alternative Burnley player, if you can. Rowan says, hey, mate, would you do Veghorst for Edward or King? Yeah, both preferably. Matt Johnson says, hi, James, I've got 11 for this week, but 4 from the Brighton Villa game. Lamptey, Trossard, Ramsey, Watkins. Is it too many and worth taking one of them out for a -4? Already used free transfer. Listen, mate, could finish 2-2 and they could all score. Okay, that's unlikely. But it's fine. Don't stress about it, mate. Don't stress about it. They're all okay-ish options. If Watkins gets back in the team, you may suddenly think, oh my God, I want Watkins for the double. Ramsey, I can't recommend you to sell. Trossard, where are you going to? It's okay. Lamptey, it's okay. FPL GW27 says, don't fancy Son or Kane as your captain. Harry's got the vice, mate. I think he's the best with a single game week. Prab Noor says, hey James, what are your thoughts on bringing in Willock for Bowen? I don't see that. Next week, fine, but why do you want to bust it early? West Ham at home this week. Rowan says, mate, do you think Region will play? I've covered that, mate. David Hannigan says, KDB and 4.4 million midfielder on bench, or Mahrez and Rafinha. Yeah, Mahrez and Rafinha. Rafinha first bench. Trying to prepare for... Don't bench Rafinha, please, mate. Harry, English. English. 5 minutes to deadline, kids. You can't be benching Rafinha. It must be something better than bench Rafinha, or you've got an amazing team. But yeah, I would take that option. Mahrez and Rafinha. Rob H says, I can't get to JWP or Breuer as my captain in Sky. What do you think of Livramento as captain? Reasonable if he's in the team, mate. If not, a problem. Adam says, Mbumo, Kulo, Elanga or Coutinho for 5th midfield punt spot. Free hit and Mbumo would be my choice. Non-free hit, Coutinho. Dragan says, thank you for the great advice you give out, James. Harry is an amazing assistant. Have a lovely weekend. Not so sure. I apologise for some of this inconvenience. Personally, it's like music to my ears, really. Nolan says, hey, when you think they'll announce Chelsea double game at 28? I've covered. Mr. Anderson, the little man, is very talkative. Maybe I should take the iPad off him. Horder Face is very... Adash says, triple up on Burnley defence, if you like it. Rhinos Lees, thoughts on more for a free hit. Loving the sound effects, by the way. Harry! Shh, please. 5 minutes. No, mate, don't go Lucas Moore on a free. I think you start, but no, mate. You're just desperate to get someone in against Leeds because I understand how you feel about it at the moment. Just don't. There's better options elsewhere. It could be magic if he plays. It could very easily be a one-pointer. And Lucas flats to deceive in terms of returns anyway. The Michi says, hi James, would you go Pope and Bednarek? Or Foster and Tarkot? Pope. FPL Dugaboy says, Spurs fan, not captain Son or Kane. Yeah. Yeah, I captain Son or Kane every week instead of Salah. I mean, plus, I just went at Burnley, mate. I'm captain the player from the team that just beat Tottenham. What do you want me to do? Captain Son or Kane every week instead of Salah? Come on, man. Mehul says, Harry. Oh, Daddy got your attention, has he? Right, listen. Shush. Can you be quiet? Good boy. Shush, that's right, yeah. Mehul says, hi James, have 10 players. No, you'll be shush if you're going to be here as well. Hi James, have 10 players. No City mids, no Son, no Burnley. Should I use my free hit or swap Salah to KDB or Son? Don't free hit at this stage if you didn't know he was doing it. What's this? Is it present? Good boy. Don't free hit at this stage if you didn't know. About a minute to deadline, guys. Make sure you're locked in. Swizz says, hi James, I'm keen on attacking Lee's defence. Who do you think starts, Mora or Kulusevski? I said Mora. Peter G, but don't do it. Peter G says, hi James and Harry. Sky question, Walker to Ward-Prowse or Rafinha to Ward-Prowse? Cole Walker, mate. David says, should I captain Son, Breuer or Weghorst? Weghorst on the screen, mate. Adam says, surely Son better versus Leeds than Kane. How comes he's 9th and Harry's so much higher at 3rd? Because Harry's just in top-notch form at the moment. And I explained about half hour ago. Captain Jack says, listen, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love it if Son gets a hat-trick tomorrow, honestly. Captain Jack says, Foden or Mahrez? I didn't want this. You take it. Foden or Mahrez? Toss a coin. Depends on affordability. I'd punt Mahrez, personally, I think. Woody Heroes, hi James, I did have Pope but I've taken him out for Forster to upgrade Livramento to Tarkovsky. So my Burnley 3 are me, Tark and Veg. Would you still rather Pope? Yeah. One Ondon says, would you go Bowen to JWP? Southampton have good fixtures till game week 31 and West Ham have tougher fixtures till game week 30. But we can't really include game week 30 as yet. But I won't rule out going Bowen to JWP next week. This time next week we've got the information, right? We know what's on in game week 30. We know which teams have gone through in the cup. I can have a clearer idea of what game week 33 will look like. Yes, don't worry, we'll pod about it. Jonathan Foster says, my daughter Amy has shown interest in the stream after hearing Harry. She's a 5-year-old West Ham fan. Parenting is tricky, hey? Yeah, but we love it. It's the best thing in the world, isn't it? Tim Shannon says, that Harry boy is talking sense. Sterling or Foden? Bruno or Sancho? Harry, which one? Bruno! Foden! Ben M says, Bud, thanks for all as always. Have free hit and gambling on Sterling, Mahrez and Sancho. Any thoughts for leaving Bruno and KDB out? Yes, take that bit, please. No, if I was free hitting, I'd definitely have Bruno this week. Definitely. 11 I am Ross Kenny, KDB, Mahrez, Bruno's son, Ramsey as a mid, or change KDB to Sterling. Also thoughts on me and Robertson plus Forster or get Pope, all on a free hit, sat in Camden. Alright, Ross, I'm sorry to tell you, mate, you don't want Andrew Robertson on a free hit because Liverpool aren't playing. Yeah, look, what's this? Deadline, guys. What's this? Take that first, and then you can have some more. Yeah? Say thank you. Good boy. Right, guys. I did it. I said I would do it. That's the best I could do for you today. I'm sorry if it wasn't to your taste, but some of you probably did enjoy it. If anybody's got any non-FPL questions, I'm not going to stay for long, but 10 minutes or so, I'll do a couple for you. Other than that, for the rest of you, smash a like on the way out, hit the sub button. Good luck this week. Deadline stream next week is 10 a.m. on the Saturday, I believe, and there should be no child sound effects. What was I going to say? Patrons, see many of you tomorrow. Shh, look forward to it. Monday, me and Sid will be back. Gameweek 27 review. Tuesday's podcast. People's poll, don't know what yet. Vote will go out Sunday or Monday. Wednesday, Sky Fantasy Football. We've got some additional April fixtures. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. Thursday, Clash of Correspondence is scheduled to be, could change, but is scheduled to be Aston Villa versus Southampton with Lee Jackson and Matt Samuel. I say could change because Lee is actually going to be out of the country, but he should be okay, we think. For Wi-Fi, I'm selling our content. Next Friday will probably be Ask James, but it may depend a little bit on the cup results in terms of if we think a specific chip strategy podcast is important enough. Although my intention at the moment is to do that on Thursday on Patreon. I'm not going to lie. It's the start of the new month. Bollocks, you can all join Patreon. You'll ask me on my stream anyway. So yeah, that's probably on Patreon on Thursday, a bit of chip strategy. So we'll probably bring Tottenham forward. Mind you, we're both playing in the cup on Wednesday. Maybe we'll just do 2 pods on Thursday instead on Patreon. Should we do that? Might do that. Patrons, let me know. Are you happy to skip a day of content and we'll release 2 pods on Thursday? I might consider that. That might be better. We'll do the quiz early in the week. Maybe do Tottenham and chip strategy on Thursday once we've got the cup results. Maybe, possibly. Q&A Monday. Gameweek 28 preview Friday. Advanced tier video content every weekday next week as well. And if you want to support our content, do it for the support of the content because you enjoy what we do, etc. www.patreon.com/planetfpl. But in all honesty, you may as well wait till Tuesday now, as that will be the first of the month. And I don't really want anyone paying twice in 3 days, to be totally honest with you. Right, cool. That's it, I think. Let's do some non-FPL shit then. Who have we got in? Froda says, deadline stream of the year, James. Looking forward to the Linden family FPL pod. Tell you what, the wife needs the wildcard soon, so that might be coming up on Patreon as well. JS says, who does Harry have as captain this week? To be fair, I did tell wife the deadline. She said she was going to do it on the train on the way out as well. Who's Harry got? He's not quite old enough yet. I've just realised I've been holding this oaty bar like I'm going to eat it. Harry, do you want some more? Yeah? Good man. Neil Kager says, enjoy the weekend of footy or enjoy, stay safe. Immortal Techniques says, well done. Addy Tour, well done, James. Top work. Matters, who do you think will finish fourth? Arsenal. I've been covering that for weeks. Nick Jones says, well in. James Pushkar, post-deadline question. Why did you say on today's pod that Chelsea versus Arsenal cannot be announced after today, but Chelsea versus Norwich can? How does it work? Okay, careful. It's not that it cannot. It just does not make any sense. I mean, I'm assuming at this stage there's been no announcement. Sorry, I got distracted by another message on Brighton, but it's nothing on top of what I said earlier. It could still be announced, but it doesn't make any sense. It didn't make sense that it didn't just announce Chelsea Arsenal in the first place. And the thinking was that maybe they wanted Chelsea Leicester. But they must have known even after the first leg Leicester were going to go through. What did Leicester go through? 7-1 on aggregate? So the thinking was they may have wanted that to confirm and they were going to maybe announce Chelsea Arsenal today. The game is in 12 days. What are you waiting for if they're going to announce it? I realise it's 2 London clubs, but people still need to organise their lives. You know, people work night shifts and shit like that. Still need to give people some sort of notice. There is no how can it possibly go into next week now? If it had been announced today because they were waiting on Leicester, that's some logical sense in it for me. But now we've got nothing. Listen, I'm not saying nothing to get announced in the next hour or so, but I think if it doesn't, I don't think Chelsea Arsenal's going into that week. Could it? Yes. But it makes no logical sense that it's not been announced when what? The other fixtures were announced 7 days. It was last Friday, wasn't it? 7 days ago. Doesn't make sense. A is for apple. B is for... C is for... D is for... Donut. E is for... Elephant. Good lad. Sorry. He distracts me. I've got to be honest. He properly distracts me. Norwich Chelsea, right? Obviously, if they both lose in the cup, then they'll play in Gameweek 30, right? Norwich have got Liverpool away, Chelsea got Luton away. So the chances are Norwich will lose. Chances are Chelsea won't. So let's say Liverpool win. Let's say Luton beat Chelsea. Then Chelsea play Norwich in Gameweek 30, and there's probably no need to do anything. And in that case, probably Chelsea won't play in Gameweek 28. And it's still possible that Chelsea won't play in Gameweek 28. But I'm telling you, it is insane. As I said last week, it is insane if they do not arrange a Chelsea fixture in Gameweek 28. Because if they do go through in the Cup and they reach the semi-finals in the FA Cup in Europe, they are going to have to play twice in 3 days. Twice. In probably Gameweek 36 and Gameweek 37. They have to give them a game. Honestly. They have to give Chelsea a game in that midweek. Now, obviously, if it's going to be Norwich, they can't announce it till they know that the game's not on in Game Week 30. What they should do, the sensible thing would be to say, in the event that Chelsea-Norwich is postponed in Game Week 30, this game will take place on Thursday, March the 10th. And just so people know. But no, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to wait till Thursday and they're going to expect the fans to have just 1 week notice. Now, they'll get away with it because they say, oh, we've had to do this because of Chelsea's fixture backlog and because of the cup results. What they don't, the clubs don't want anything announced. The clubs probably already know. The clubs don't want anything announced publicly because then it comes across as in a, oh yeah, you thought this game would get moved because you thought you'd win. No, just come out and be honest and say, if Norwich-Chelsea has to be moved from Game Week 30, it will be played on Thursday, March 10th. Done, finish, end. And that's what I think is going to happen. But there's no guarantee. Yes, Chelsea-Arsenal physically could still be announced next week, but it just doesn't make sense. Unless, well, do they not work at the Premier League on a Friday, the day before a deadline? Yeah, they do. And they'll know in their minds, they've got to, what the possibilities are with Chelsea and the permutations. Because I know, and most of you now know. Right, next question. Sweet. I'll talk about it more Monday's pod probably as well. Andrew Jarvis, thanks James. What is the best film you've seen so far this year? Right, don't feel sorry for me, but I don't even think I've watched a film this year. Jay Barker says, good job, James. Who said men can't multitask? Yeah. Matt S., who do you think will get relegated? I've changed my mind. Norwich, Watford, and if they have a bad couple of weeks, Brentford. I don't really want Brentford to go down. I just think Burnley are going to do the business, to tell you the truth. Patrick Lewis, no, I did not like your Veggie nickname. You do not need to give him a nickname when his first name is Wout. It's not difficult to say, is it? Joe Finley Badder, Webster to Ward-Prowse in Sky. Yeah, that looks fine. Harry, come and finish this. Neil Thompson says, just want to say thanks. Brilliant. You're welcome, Jay Barker. Also, who do you prefer at the lane between Lukaku or DCL in the event Kane leaves and Conte stays? Lukaku. JMA543, nice work with the stream, James. Is Manchild still on the pod? I feel like I haven't heard you or Suj talk about him for ages, other than I say his name at the end of every podcast. No, he doesn't work with us anymore. Johnny J, how old is your son? He is 3. Dan L says, I'm happy with that. Discord in my head says, Mara's going to haul, does he? I'm not interested. Alfredo says, I don't think Brea starts. Adams and Elianosi up front. Dan L, please, more wifey content. Jonathan Albert, do you think Lukaku should play on Sunday? No, I think Chelsea would probably be better off without in that particular game. Andrew Bassett, James, what's been your favourite final at the new Wembley, except for the obvious 2008 v Chelsea? Yeah, that one. I've got no love for any of the others because we haven't won any of the others. Favourite final at Wembley? I feel like there was a really good recent final, and it's escaping me. Who won the cup in 18? Why am I having a blank? That was Chelsea, wasn't it? Chelsea beat United. What was the 19 final? Was 19 COVID? No, 19 wasn't COVID, was it, Harry? What was the cup final in 19? Jesus, what's wrong with me? I think I'm losing it. I've got this encyclopedia and I can't remember the FA Cup final from 2 years ago. Harry, what was the FA Cup final in 2019? I know we weren't in it. Who won the league that year? City, Centurions. Oh, City battered Watford. I know why I don't remember. I was pissed. We did a live show in London. No, it's not that. That's not the answer anyway. They're normally all shit, aren't they? Let's be honest. They're normally all shite. Let's say when Wigan beat Man City. Bothered. Colin B says B is for Breuer, surely. Shifo says thoughts on moving UCL to Stade de France, not the most secure stadium. If I remember correctly, it was a bomb scare while French president was there. Also lately chaos in League One, but I'd imagine the French security is much stronger since then, mate, to be honest. So I think it's fine. I think it had to be quite west, didn't it? It probably had to be France, Spain, Portugal or England at the moment, and England's had their fair share, so it's fine. Javino99 says, predicted 11 for Leeds tomorrow, and what's the best Conte can get from his side for the rest of the season? Predicted teams for tomorrow: Meslier, Ayling, Llorente, Strauch, Dallas left back, Koch in midfield with Forshaw, Rafinha, Rodrigo, Harrison and Daniel James. Tottenham, Loris in goal, same back three: Romero, Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Region wing backs, Winks with Højbjerg, Lucas, Son and Kane. What's the best Conte can get from this side for the rest of the season? The best he can get from this side for the rest of the season is to finish fourth and win the FA Cup. That's the best he can get out of them. That's the very best case scenario. I'm not expecting. The players are not good enough. He's realising it and he's struggling with that. Martin Bull says, just seen Sky fixtures scheduled past international break. Does this change your plans? Not massively, Martin. There was nothing in there that's particularly scary. Them fixtures were out on Wednesday, mate. We'll talk about it more on Sky Podcast on Wednesday. Pushcast says, I'm brave. Thanks for the Chelsea fixture explanation. Great stream as always. D for Donut. Good night. TW, thoughts on the Dexter ending? Not great. I don't want to spoil it for anyone because actually it was brilliant what they did with it. I think it far exceeded expectations in terms of what them 10 episodes were going to be, considering how it finished 10 years ago. The actual series was extremely good. I think, how do you end it? Well, so I'm not going to say anything more than that. It was a disappointing ending. I thought even like the first half of that final episode was brilliant. I understand why people didn't like the way it finished, but the season 10 was brilliant, and people who didn't watch Dexter before could definitely watch that as a standalone, I think. Birthed Media says, what happened the last time Norwich played on Friday? Any chance for an upset? I don't know. Did they beat Leicester by chance, I'm guessing? If memory serves me right. Don't know. I don't know if Norwich has had a... Oh shit, they won at Watford a couple of weeks ago. Fucking hell, that's harsh on them, just thinking about it. 2 Friday nights away in quite a short space of time. That's harsh. Mind you, Tottenham haven't had a home game on a Saturday at 3 o'clock for well over 2 years now, and we still haven't at the start of April. But Bestos says, which player from a current relegation threatened club would you most like to see at Spurs, and why? Rafinha, because I think he's got incredible ability. Ragav says, Watford, don't know what that's in response to, can't remember. FPL Jazz, great content, James, relatively new to the channel, and I love the sessions you have with Suj. Keep up the great work, thanks very much. Pushkar says, United Palace was a good one with a late Lingard winner. Yeah, it was a decent final, actually. John, although I don't feel like it was until Jason Puncheon scored. John Lanigan says, for a 3-year-old, little Harry was really well behaved. He is well behaved. He's a little bit behind and stuff on language and that at the moment, but he's very loving and caring. He is well behaved. Jovino is the best thing in the world. I never thought I could love anything more than Tottenham. And he also doesn't piss me off like Tottenham do as well, actually. Jovino99 said, Harry's 1920 FA Cup campaign knowledge was particularly impressive. Can't remember what I said. 1920, wasn't that when COVID hit? We played Middlesbrough in the 3rd round, actually, ironically. Won the replay at home. We lost to Norwich on pens in the 5th, didn't we? Toilet. Fucking Mourinho. Anyway, that's it. Lots of love. Right. Patrons, I know if a lot of you are in here, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Other than that, rest of you, me and Suj will be back Monday. Enjoy the weekend. You've made your decisions. You can't affect it now. Please don't make early transfers this week. Please. Because Chelsea might change the game for you next week. So, and chill. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ciao for now.